Great, it's recording.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So first of all, thank you very much for having me here. I'm really looking forward to present my project, what I'm doing with Utopia, my company. And thanks, Alina, for giving me this time. First of all, can you tell me a bit who are like the participants of this course? I mean, I am talking to students. I am talking to who am I talking to exactly? Just to understand very quickly.
So I'm back for a brief intro. Basically, DevAcademy is our annual event where we have these nice, brilliant students coming here to enhance their C#.NET skills. And basically, they are all programming students.
Great. That's what I'm looking for. Perfect. You guys are my perfect audience. That's it. Okay, so I have presented. I have prepared a presentation. I'm going to share my screen if I am allowed to do that.
I think you should be able to do that.
Yes, it should be this one. Okay.
Yeah, we see it all.
Okay, great. Okay. Okay, great. So this is Utopia. I am Andrea. I'm the co-founder and the CTO of the company, and we're building a market intelligence tool for climate tech. First of all, I want to understand a bit, guys, if you know what is climate tech. And the idea is that throughout the course of the presentation, I have like put there a couple of questions for you to answer. Maybe you're gonna send me the answer on the chat if you are logged in. Otherwise, I'm gonna figure out a way to do this. And I just want to understand what you know about climate tech. On top of that, I'm gonna tell you like how is our product. I'm gonna show you our product, how we get the idea of making this product, and all the steps that make us being here right now. Hope that it's interesting. If you guys have questions, please let me know. Okay, so first question for you. Come on, let's see if you guys know this. How much greenhouse gases is emitted by things that we do? First of all, greenhouse gases, we can say that greenhouse gases are CO2. Okay, let's make this assumption, CO2. And there are 5 options: manufacturing, energy, agriculture, transportation, and buildings. Now, if you can send the answer on the chat, do that. Otherwise, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds and then I'm gonna tell you the answer. Okay?
Actually, I guess you can even raise your hand and see
you can guys raise your hand. Yes, please. Okay, so who is up for manufacturing? Nobody, I guess. No, 1, no, 0. Energy? Okay, nobody. Agriculture? No. Transportation?
I think I would go for that.
Okay, 3. And finally, buildings. Okay, there are like a lot of people that didn't want to answer. It's fine. The answer, guys, it's manufacturing, and let me tell you why. Manufacturing is super polluting in terms of CO2. So manufacturing is responsible for emitting 31% of CO2 emission annually, then followed by energy, agriculture, transportation, and buildings. Annually, the world is emitting 51 billion tons of CO2, which is a lot. This is like a breakdown. For instance, guys, manufacturing is so polluting, and for some processes, we don't even have a solution. Making cement is everywhere. Probably you guys are in a building. That building is done by cement. We don't have a process to create cement without emitting CO2 emission. It's crazy. Regarding energy, instead, energy is very CO2 intensive, not as much as manufacturing. The problem with the energy is that is everywhere, in everything that we do, in manufacturing as well. We have CO2 emission produced by energy. So if we can create clean electricity, also agriculture, transportation, and manufacturing emission will drop down. Then we have agriculture. Agriculture is, again, a major polluter of CO2, especially cattle. If cattle was a country, was like, if we compare the CO2 emission of US, China, and cattle will be like the 3rd one in place, because it's super emitting. To produce meat is like resource intensive and super CO2 emitting. Then we have transportation. Transportation, I'm not talking about like, of course, like cars and stuff, but we are talking about aviation. Aviation, again, is the fuels that we burn to travel from with planes from one place to another, is very emitting. There are solutions there trying to find biofuels, still very expensive. And finally, buildings as well, for keeping stuff warm and cool. Again, use energy and then emit CO2. So this is the breakdown. Okay, now you know that. Hopefully it's interesting for you, this. let me tell you a bit of what we do now. So what kind of problem are you trying to solve? If we start from the problem, then we understand better what we do. So out there, right, there is like a lot of information, a lot of solution on climate tech, but all this information is broad and chaotic. We need somebody to put like stuff in order, you know? So telling who is doing what, telling how much stuff is impactful. So we need to put order out there to deliver insights to investment makers, to decision makers, to corporation, in order to act on climate solution and speed up the transition. So basically, Utopia wants to be like an intermediary between policymaker, corporate decision makers, and by using our platform, our tool, they can find, assess solution, and act on this solution, invest, work with them in order to speed up the transition. So this is where we are, okay? Before going on too deep with Utopia, let me tell you a couple of stuff about me, about my company, about my background. So as you know, I'm Andrea, and I have no climate background. I'm gonna tell you right now, I got this background, but the idea is that I study in Italy, economics. Then I went to Bologna, my beautiful city Bologna, to study math. I studied math for finance. There I learned programming. I learned especially a bit of data science, but a lot of nerdy stuff with math. I went, before I finished my uni, I went then at Budapest to working for a big bank called Morgan Stanley, amazing institution. But my job was a bit boring. What I was doing there? I was creating models to assess the credit risk of a financial transaction. If you lend me 100 euros, okay, what is the probability of you failing and therefore not getting this money back? So we need to model all this kind of behavior using, again, a lot of data, a lot of math, and a lot of financial modeling. I learned a lot there, but especially corporate culture, how to work. So I advise you to work for a big corporation at some point, just because maybe don't stay there for like all your careers, but as a way to work is very interesting how they do that. The thing is that I was not passionate about it. I was like a small ant in a big machine. So what I thought, okay, I need to do something for myself. And leveraging from my two passions, which were like data and a passion for climate technology, I finally rejoined with my bachelor college, Federico, which is the other co-founder of Utopia, and we decided to create Utopia. Now, we did this not in the proper way, because when you create company, you don't do as we do. We basically quit our banking job without an idea in our mind. I mean, we had an idea, we know what we wanted to do, but we didn't prove that idea. We didn't prove that there was a problem in the market that we wanted to solve, and we didn't have any product or any client paying for our imaginary product. So don't do this. I don't know why we did it, but eventually we managed to create a company. I'm not saying successful, but a company. So don't do that. If you want to create a company, then you start easy. First of all, you study. There are a lot of online courses, especially from in US. There is this startup accelerator called Y Combinator. Y Combinator is one of the leading accelerator in the startup field. And basically right now they are doing a lot of researches on how to start startup. Find a problem, find a pain point that you want to solve, create a solution to solve this problem. All these steps are needed to create like a successful company. If you guys are interested, then I can share you the link for this. Okay, where are we now? Okay, so back 1 second on the problem, because for me this one is still important, but I want you to understand a bit better. So decision makers are lacking information on climate tech, especially in two things. The first thing is that they are not able to find the right solution to bet on. I mean, again, there are a lot of information, but also I'm an investor. I have to invest in climate technology. Of course, I am getting like a lot of emails by several startups that are looking for fundings. But how do I know that I am having like a nice coverage of all the market? So first of all, it's finding a solution. So we have to provide a tool to people that want to invest, making policy research, or working with startup and company in climate to find easily solution. Second thing is that once you have found the startup, the company, how do you know that company X is more impactful than company Y? Now, what do I mean by impactful? Impactful is an impact on the positive impact that a company developing a product or a service has on the environment. So right now there is the climate crisis, and Monday the IPCC has just released a report saying that humanity is screwed. All the emissions that we have done so far are, we know for sure that now are attributable to humans. So we have to act, and very, very fast. There are several goals that we have to reach net zero by 2050. So we have to invest in climate technologies that allows us to reduce CO2 from the atmosphere, to reduce the temperature and don't make it increase. The idea here is that, back on the assess part, how do I know that the company X is better than company Y? We need like a standard framework to compare technology and tell you this technology is better than this other one, because given the KPI 1, KPI 2, and KPI 3, we can reduce more CO2. Let me make an example. This is easy. You have to choose between nuclear energy and solar energy. And right now you are interested in generating more energy per meter squared without even emitting any zero CO2. For instance, nuclear is much more efficient because in a lesser surface, it can give you much more power. So all this kind of information, right now probably you're a bit lost, but it's fine. I'm gonna get back on this one. All this kind of information are needed to decision makers like policymakers and corporate CXO, we call them like this, to act on climate. So give this insight to act on climate, invest in them, and finally transitioning faster towards sustainability. Now,
Andrea, I think I had a question. According from what you meet in your daily life, working and watching the startups, for now, what is the most effective reducing CO2? What means or ways or what sort of startups?
There are several cool stuff. The problem with climate technology is that we are not yet there. I mean, we are very immature on that thing. First of all, I mean, right now we are producing like a lot of clean energy, but we don't have a way to store it. Energy storage right now is a hot market because we need a way to store wind, solar energy, and we don't simply have the technology to do that. So that is very promising, because in the next 20 years, a lot of money we're gonna flow in that market. But one thing that I am very, very, very interested in is direct air capture. What is that? CO2 is in the atmosphere. We need to find ways to reduce the CO2. One way is that you put some device on, I don't know, I'm a corporation, I'm Philip Morrison. I am producing my cigarette stuff, and I am emitting a lot of CO2 in my manufacturing process. I am gonna put a device on my flue gases, and I am gonna capture that CO2, so that CO2 doesn't go into the atmosphere. But how about the CO2 that is already up there? There is this technique called direct air capture, and there are actually 3 companies that are promising. One is European, and I'm going to focus on that one. It's not that I want to make advertisement, but it's kind of the love of my life in terms of company. It's called Climeworks. Climeworks, they are a Swiss company that has developed technology it's basically a power plant that is going to, you can put it anywhere you want, you near a manufacturing station or even in the mountain. And this device is going to capture directly CO2 from the air and store it underground. Now, this technology is not yet there. It's already capturing CO2, not at scale. Again, very promising. And as a matter of fact, like a corporation like Microsoft and Bill Gates himself have invested in these companies. Again, UN has said that without this carbon capture technology from air, we're not going to get to the net zero to 2050. So for me, these guys are very, very interesting. And they also, I mean, the fact is that for them is very hard to market the product, because at the end of the day, they output CO2. So either they are storing it underground or they are selling it. Who wants CO2? Some company wants it. For instance, they have like a partnership with Coca-Cola to make Coca-Cola sparkly from CO2. But I mean, there is not like a big market for that. So they are trying to find ways to make this technology marketable. And one way for that to do that is to also involve like private citizens as us, and we can like subscribe to their website, pay a monthly fee, and with that fee, they are going to store carbon on your behalf. By the end of this year, Utopia will buy a subscription of Climeworks because we want to support those guys. Those guys are amazing. So yes, for me, promising is carbon capture. I love those kind of things. Did I answer your question? Yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah, thank you for your answer.
Okay. I wanted to tell you a bit more of our product. So basically, our product is a software as a service. Basically, we have a software, we sell subscription to enter in our platform. And the idea is that we provide information for decision maker to scout and assess climate tech. First of all, in the scouting part, we are very good because we have a very nice market coverage. We cover more than 20K. Now, wait, we have 14K on the platform right now, climate solutions. So green companies headquartered in Europe, because right now we are doing Europe, that are developing climate solution in the climate sphere. By the end of the year, we'll have 20, which is like 7 times more than the competition. So in terms of market coverage, we are better. Then, thanks to our detailed taxonomy, which is based on AI, and I'm going to talk about AI later on, we are able to categorize all these companies in a very specific field. And therefore, if you are looking for something, in 2 seconds, you can find it. So instead of going on Google and making hour of research with 2 filters, you can exactly find what you're looking for. Finally, once you find a company and you want to understand what they do, I'm going to provide you with rich information like financials of the company, the contacts if you want to contact them, patents, and similar solutions. So you can do due diligence on that. And this is the scouting part. The assess part, which we are trying to develop it now, is basically we want to create a climate technology atlas. We want to map every existing technology, climate technology in the market, and also we want to map all the players that are developing that technology, not only startups, but also project research, EU project, university spin-off. Because in this way, once you understand what are the technology and what are the most impactful technology, you also know who is marketing those technology. Me, as a policymaker, I want to know that. So I know that I have to support those things to reach net zero in 2050. Finally, once we have all this information, as I was saying before, we want to create KPIs and stats to identify the tech and financial trend in the industry. And finally, assess impact at scale. Assessing impact at scale, it means that you have an algorithm that tells you which are the most impactful technology. That to dumb it down is what is the most impactful technology in terms of reducing CO2 from the atmosphere. Okay, that's the idea. Where are we going now? Okay, this is a slide for reminding me that I wanted to show you my product, because I guess that you guys are also web developer and you want to see a bit how the product works, the interface and stuff like that. So I am going to here, should be this guy. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, guys, the idea is that I am like in the middle of the countryside and the internet connection is not good. If I am breaking up, let me know. Okay. So right now I told you like a lot of stuff. Let me explain better what we do. So as I told you, actually, as you know, out there are climate change, but there are also a lot of solutions addressing this climate change. Our idea is that how about we put all the solutions in one place, so that decision makers could find them easily, that are at their fingertips. And basically, we created this huge database of companies based on the AI, automation, and a nice web interface on it. Right now, we count 14K companies. These companies here are incorporated in Europe and developing a climate technology, okay? A climate technology, so innovation-wise, not only startup, because if you are an SMEs, you are also here as long as you are producing something innovative. The idea is that you can filter for several factors. You can filter for location where the company is incorporated. You can filter for founded date when the company is born, the sector. With the sector, you can go very specific. I mean, it's not, that's why we're good with respect to competition. You can filter for circular economy. You can filter for lab grown meat. You can filter for direct air capture. And these things allows you to exactly with one click pinpoint the companies that are developing those solutions to address those problems. There is also a snapshot on fundings, meaning that you can filter also for total funding when the company has raised funds, employees in terms of size, and then stage. We have developed also a climate model, and I'm going to talk about that a bit later. But basically, this model is trying to assessing the positive impact that a company has on the environment. This model is outputting a coefficient between 0 and 1. 1 meaning that it's very, very impactful in terms of CO2 potential reduction, 0, not at all. And basically, this is our, let's say, minimum viable product to prove that we can estimate impact to the market. Also, we have mapped the SDGs. SDGs are Sustainable Development Goals. Basically, these are the Millennium Goals developed by the UN. UN said, okay, guys, it's nice that we grow. It's nice, money are amazing, GDP is amazing, but how about we grow sustainably? So how about we, we're going to defeat hunger so everybody can eat? Or how about we're going to create clean and affordable electricity? How about we do responsible consumption? The idea is that the UN want to achieve this goal, I think, by the end of the millennium. Maybe I'm saying some bullshit here, but I think so. And we mapped all these 17 goals to the companies that are addressing this goal. I am going back to this lab-grown meat. Lab-grown meat is basically creating meat from cell in a laboratory. And you ask me, why is this important? Because as I showed you in the first slide, agriculture is very polluting in terms of CO2. Cattle is very polluting in terms of CO2. So what we do here is to try to create meat to feed the world, me and you guys, but without making emissions. So we grow meat in a laboratory. And basically, if you are developing a solution in a lab-grown meat industry, you're gonna get this SDGs, zero hunger, right? That's the idea. Let's stick on this lab-grown meat because I like it now. So basically, this is what I can filter by here, but I can also go on advanced filter. Here I have several filters like the stage, the size, the location, sector, the climate impact thing, financials, and then here you have like this wildcard. Maybe you can filter for any keywords that you want, okay? And we're going to search that keyword on the website of the company. So it's a very powerful search. And this is, of course, handled by our platform. This is all written in Java. I'm going to tell you also about the tech that we use, but I thought that this could be cool for you. So let's make an example. So again, this lab-grown meat. Again, lab-grown meat is meat that we produce in a laboratory from cell in order to avoid emission. As you can see, there are not a lot of companies. Why? Because this market is not yet there. There are not a lot of actors, so not a crowded market. It means that the technology is still trying to grow. As a matter of fact, there is like, I think that there is only one company in Israel that is planning to sell this, also in China, to sell this. But the idea is that we don't have like a proven technology for lab-grown meat. We have a lot of plant-based meat. Maybe you know about the case of Beyond Meat, that now it's everywhere. But lab-grown meat is not yet there. So we have few solutions. One of them, for instance, is Mosa Meat. I can go here. I already have prepared the page, I guess, because of my internet connection. And once I'm here, I can understand what the guys are doing. So the name of the company, what the company is doing, social presence. I can save them in one of my portfolios, or I can take notes about the company, for instance, if I'm interested. I can understand the website, where the guys are based, which technology and sector they are operating in. And the idea is that all these guys is not done manually. I'm not gonna do that manual. I have an algorithm based on AI that is gonna tell me, okay, based on the content of Mosa Meat website, I can classify this company in a particular sector. That's AI, in particular, natural language process. Again, we're gonna talk about that. Then I have like a nice overview of the company, a snapshot on the founding with the guys that have invested or partnered with the company, the snapshot on climate, and finally the similar companies. Climate.
Yeah,
yes.
If I'm not wrong, I believe it's worth to mention for guys that all that information is collected automatically. Yes, that's very on point. We are data science. We believe in manual work, but we believe more in technology that is working for us. That's the idea. I want to tell you like a couple of more stuff about the climate impact, and then we're going to dive into the technology. So the idea is that you guys, you can see here that we are trying to assess the impact of Mosa Meat. Mosa Meat has already raised several funds, but since the technology is not proven, it's not gonna be very high. So it's a high impact, but not yet there. How do we estimate with this kind of climate impact? We do that by, no, it's not this. Hang on.
It should be this one. Yes, we do that by using our climate model. Climate model is taking several inputs into consideration. We have the Eco Innovation Index, which is basically an index developed by the European Union for telling you which country is more green in terms of how many patents they have deposited, how many jobs are, how many people are working in green jobs, how many funds have flown in green tech. Then we are taking into account CO2 per country and CO2 per industry in which the company is working. We are taking into account also the size of the industry, so the GVA, which is a proxy for GDP, stage of the company in terms of where are you with your technology, with your stage of development, the industry. Then we have ranked industry and tech with our own classification to say which is more impactful with respect to the other. For instance, if you're working in healthcare doing some recycling, yeah, good, thanks for that. But if you are sucking out CO2 from the atmosphere, you are way more impactful, and therefore you're going to get us a bigger score. If we aggregate all this thing, then we're going to get our climate model score. That's the idea, and this is where Utopia wants to go: assess impact. Now, I talk too much. Sorry, probably too many information. Let's take another easy peasy quiz, and then let's dive into the technology. Question: which energy source contributes the most to low carbon electricity generation globally? Okay. A, nuclear, B, solar, C, hydro, D, wind. Who is going for nuclear? Okay, that's good. That's good. Good. Solar? Okay. Hydro? Nobody? Wind? Okay, guys.
My second option.
So I would answer nuclear as well, but it's wrong. Nuclear is amazing, but again, it's not so developed. The thing is that we have hydro. Hydro is crazy. It's we are producing several kilowatt from hydro, and we are, so this is the answer. C is the answer. So there are a few problems with hydro. That's like what. It's very weird, right? I didn't expect that as well. I discovered, okay, maybe I have to study more. That was the takeaway for me. And so hydro is very cool. I mean, you produce a lot of electricity with dams and stuff like that. The idea is that there are several problems. First of all, when you are going to create a dam, you have to be near a river. When you are opening a dam, you are flooding all the valley and with this water, and you are releasing carbon that was stored underwater. And finally, at some point, we don't have any more river to build hydro on. So it's not a promising technology. It's like the first technology that we have there, and therefore right now we are relying a lot on it. Probably nuclear at some point is going to surpass hydro. The thing is that, again, all the energy that we're producing from hydro, we are not able to store it because energy storage is not there yet. Okay, that was fun. Let's talk about the tech. So as Alina says, we are not going to do this manually, otherwise we would become crazy to review like thousands of companies. Let me tell you that I did that for a bit of time since we didn't have like a product at the beginning. So I reviewed like a lot of company website, a lot of papers and Wikipedia pages, and from there I got my climate background. As I told you, I didn't study climate; I studied finance and economics. So it's good to review companies. That's my point. You don't believe that probably. So high scalable SaaS leveraging on AI and automation. So this is my biggest problem. I am dealing with a lot of unstructured information. When I say unstructured information, I mean all the information that is on Google is unstructured. I have to make a sense out of it and then deliver insights on my platform. We have several pipelines to acquire new startup. We have our community, our network, data partners, but mainly we crawl stuff from the internet. We crawl stuff from several sources, and I'll talk about that. Once we have all these guys here entering our data system, we have to aggregate the data in order to push the best quality data on our platform. Thanks to our AI, we then classify venture, food, agriculture, manufacturing, lab-grown meat, direct air capture, and stuff like that. Our AI tells us, hey, I estimated these data points for you. I am not sure about this estimate, so please review this company because maybe my estimate is wrong. So there is a tiny bit of manual review because sometimes the input is not that good enough, and therefore we have to review it manually. Finally, we derive insights and we push everything to our web platform that I just showed you. This is like the higher level structure of our system. Maybe we can dive a bit more into it. Before going into that, let me also talk to you about our web infrastructure in a nutshell. I am a data scientist. I am not a web developer. So you guys know way more than me probably on this one, which is good. We have our production and stage platform. Stage platform is where we test stuff internally before releasing in production in our platform that our client uses. And we host it on Azure. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Microsoft Azure. We have to choose between one cloud computing provider. One, it was Azure. The other one was AWS. I personally like more AWS, but since Microsoft is more committed toward the environment, we decided to go with Azure. Also, our database is hosted here. What are we using regarding tech? Front-end tech, we're using Webpack, Vue.js, and TypeScript. And for the backend, we're using SQL Server, of course, Java, and everything is within the Spring Boot framework. If you have other questions on this one, let me know. Hopefully, I'm going to answer to those. Let's talk about data, because at the end of the day, again, I'm a data scientist, and we need a lot of web developer to host our data on the platform. The thing is that the challenging part for us is the data. I'm not saying the web is easy because again, I cannot do anything on that one. So let me tell you a bit more how our process works. Okay, step one, we have to acquire new companies. So we have to map a lot of sources to acquire new company and be to ensure like the broadest market coverage. Step two, and this is very cool, we have to estimate if a company is green or not. For that, we have AI, an NLP model, natural languages process model, that yes, it tell us if the company is green or not. I'm going to tell you more on that. Finally, we have an algorithm that is going to fetch data points for each company. So it goes on the website, it takes the emails, the funded data, all this kind of information. Then the idea is that it should be here. We aggregate data. This should go here, not here. That's wrong. We aggregate data, and based on several searches, we try to give you the best value for every data points. And also we estimate missing data points. For instance, how do we estimate in which the sector in which the company is working, or the company evaluation of the company is fundraising or not? We use internal models that leverage on AI and statistics to give you these data points. Finally, as I told you, there is this manual review to ensure the integrity of data, and we push this data on the platform. Regarding the acquisition process, we have several pipelines. The first pipeline is that we are mapping out all the players in the market, VCs, accelerator, startup list, and we have crawlers that run periodically to fetch information dynamically for this company and push them in our data system. Then we have other data pipelines, as I told you, community, data partners, or self-submitting data from companies here. On our website, you can go here and submit, go there and submit your data. We are also starting to scrape the commercial registry, because since we have our AI that tells if stuff are green or not, we can scrape at scale and tell you what is green or not. So commercial registry are the registry where a company is the registration of the companies, like a long list of all the companies, for instance, corporate in Italy or in Lithuania or in Denmark. And finally, we are developing a Google scraper. So basically, I want my algorithm to go on Google, search for nice keywords, and understand if the results of Google are relevant to me in terms of they're a startup, they're a company, they're a project, they are green. This is still on MVP, but is something that we are working on. It's very, very hard. Why? Because is unstructured data as well. It's not that, for instance, here the difference between this and this is that if I have to scrape a portfolio of a venture capital, so it's a portfolio, basically the company in which the venture capital has invested is like a nice page with maybe 40, 50 companies, and the data are structured. So we have name, description, founded date, easy peasy to scrape. This is not, because on every website that you go, it's different, and therefore you have to write an algorithm generic enough to try to accommodate all the scenario. All this, as I told you, give us the broadest market coverage. in terms of the company that we have on our platform. This is cool. So how do we know if a company is green or not? What we do is that, first of all, we fetch the data from the website of the company, okay? And again, here, unstructured data. Therefore, my algorithm is need to be like a bit more broad. What we do is we take this web, we translate it from English to English because our AI understands English. We built like a very cool model for translation internally that I cannot tell you a lot about this, but is very cool. I work on this a lot, actually 1 year, but it's very important for us. And finally, what we do is cleaning the text. Why cleaning the text? Imagine I am going on Utopia website, and then there is the cookie banner. Cookie banner is just noise on my input. I have to remove it. With unstructured data, if I have to clean cookies for every website, it's a nightmare. As a matter of fact, it's not easy to clean that thing. Also, we have to fetch the most relevant content from every website. So we summarize the text that we scrape, we clean, and then we summarize this text. For that, we use GP2 of the OpenAI, which maybe you guys are familiar with, and XLNet as models. Finally, now that we have all the inputs to say if a company is green or not, we feed it into our model. So we have developed a model that we call GreenBERT. BERT is a bidirectional encoded representation from transformer. It's a model developed by Google in 2018. And transformer models are nowadays the state of the art of NLPs. What is happening is that BERT is it's not domain specific, meaning that BERT has been trained on, I think, on all Wikipedia. Wikipedia is amazing, but it's very high level in terms of knowledge. No, it's not that it's sector specific. So some guys came up with an idea. How about we create one BERT for the biomedic domain? So they took BERT, they inserted new text because it's an NLP model, so it's about text. They inserted new text of biomedicine, and then they create BioBERT. There are 4 domain-specific models of BERT in the world. We are creating the 5th, that we call GreenBERT. We scrape more than 1.5 million green pieces of text. We put it in our model. We enrich BERT vocabulary because an NLP model has a vocabulary of terms that he knows that he doesn't know. We enrich it from 30K words to 45K words. And now we have the 5th domain-specific NLP model. Next year, we're going to release a paper on this. For us, research in our company is super important. And we want to be scientific also because climate for us is scientific. So releasing papers is something that we are planning to do a lot, especially on data, especially on climate. Finally, we give our text to our KeyCast model, BERT, and then it's going to tell us if the model is green or not. These transformer models analyze the syntax of a text, and understand the difference in meaning. If in one test I have the word Windows, probably you guys know this, and I mean, Windows can be my computer operating system, but also a window here. Our model understands that, but not only generic word like Windows, but also solar energy, also fuel cell, lab-grown meat. Okay, and in this way can understand better and classify venture better. Tell me if it's green or not. Then what we do is that, as I told you, we fetch data points for every company. We go on their website, we go on commercial register, and we fetch information like HQ country, logo, founded data. Right now, we are developing also other models like patents, papers, and funding rounds. Funding rounds, again, is a nightmare. First of all, what is a funding round? A funding round is for instance, Utopia right now is raising fund. So if an investor is going to be giving me like, I don't know, 100 millions, it means that I have closed a funding round. Maybe next year I have to do like another one. And this is a second funding round. So like our financial funding round. So I don't know if you understand, but the idea is every time that you raise capital, that's a funding round. And we have to fetch this information. How do we do that? Again, scraper on Google, we fetch news this time, and we have to mine text of those news, extract the amount that they raise, by who they raise this money, and when they raise this money. Again, since this is unstructured information, is crazy. I lost my mind out by developing that model. Now it's working, but very, very difficult. We are doing also patents. Patents, fortunately, are structured data, so that's easier. And we want to know what are the main patents in the climate tech sphere, so I can do prediction on the trends of the climate tech. If, for instance, like Last year, there's been like we have deposited like 15 patents on direct air capture. It means that that technology is finally getting along, is finally improving, and therefore I can tell you this to the decision makers, so they know that the technology is improving. Finally, papers as well. Climate technology is very scientific based, and for that we need also to have papers to prove that our findings, our measures are correct. By the end of this year, we're going to have paper as well. Maybe I'm going too much in details, I hope not. Finally, how do we estimate data points? So how do I know if a company is in sector A using this technology or addressing these SDGs? Basically, we use NLP, again, natural language processing, very specific keyword matching, and we use our hierarchical taxonomy for GreenTech. By combining this, we can tell you if you are in this sector or not. Of course, we can also talk about company valuation and funding raise status. I mean, how much worth is a company, and if the company is looking for funds. This is very interesting for an investor. We use statistical econometrics model to do that. Nobody has this kind of information in the market. That's why we think that we can provide we can solve a problem. You know, that's why we're developing this. Finally, for aggregating companies, we have like an aggregation model that tells us for which data points, which information to fetch for each data point. It means, okay, if several sources point to this value, we're going to use this value for our clients because it's back for several sources. But again, sometimes we need manual review. So in our internal platform, we tell our analysts to say, hey, our AI is a bit confused on this one, please check it. After this, we push everything into our platform. This is our data system. Okay, that's it. Okay. Again, I talk too much. I probably confuse you. I don't see your face, so I don't know if you are like smiling, saying what the fuck are you saying, Andrea, or stuff like that. But that's it. We can, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer. But if you don't, I have one more for you, and this is the question: what is a gigacorn? Okay, a gigacorn is a company that has achieved 10 billion in valuation, increasing CO2 emission by 1 gigaton per year while being commercially viable, lowering or sequestering CO2 emission by 1 gigaton per year while being commercially viable. Andrea, please shut up. You just made it up. A gigaton is 1 trillion of tons, okay? So who is for answer A? Nobody? One, good. B, instead, increasing CO2 emission? I think nobody. C? That's it, okay. D? Me too, guys, me too. The answer is C, actually. And right now there is like a lot of attention on these guys. Why? Because you are familiar with Unicorn, for instance. Unicorn are startup companies that have reached 1 billion valuation without going public on IPOs and stuff like that. Again, we talk about money. Money are good, but we are able to talk about environment. Therefore, we are talking about gigacorns. Right now, a lot of venture capitalists want to invest in companies that can become a gigacorn, because gigacorn are the guys that are going to help you transitioning to net zero, to reduce our emission. And Utopia is here to provide information to investors and decision makers to find gigacorn in the market. That's the idea, because it's not easy, guys. Climate tech is not easy at all. I guess that's it. Oh no, yeah, okay, this I can skip. Yes. Do you have any question for me? I talk too much, Alina. Sorry, probably I confused you a lot instead.
I'm just checking. Maybe someone is too shy to ask something.
I'd like to ask a question. Can you hear me?
A bit. I'm gonna do my best. Go for it.
From what I understood, you are quite hyped up around hydro energy. But if I'm not wrong, hydro energy requires damming rivers mostly. Like, I guess that's where the most power comes from. And
hang on. Sorry, I cannot hear you. I'm sorry. I just understood hydro.
Can you hear me now?
I can see you also. Amazing. Go for it.
Yes. Basically, from what I understand, the main way you imagine that we should receive our power is through hydro, yes, because it's not as is the most developed and it produces the most power.
Okay.
But from what I know myself is to receive that power, you have to dam up rivers, and damming up rivers may cause quite a lot of like ecosystemic damage.
True.
Yes,
True. That's true.
Don't you think that in the future, nuclear energy should be more valuable and much more important?
That's exactly what I think, guys. Yes, nuclear energy is. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna speak my mind on this one. It's not the company mind, but the idea is that nuclear is the future. Hydro, it has been very nice maybe for the past. Right now it's producing a lot because we capitalize on that technology on the past. Yes, putting up dams is very bad for biodiversity. Also, as I told you, once you release the water, we're going to remove the carbon that is stored underwater, so that's bad. Nuclear is the solution. Right now there are several. So the thing is that the people are scared about nuclear, say, okay, no, after Fukushima and after Chernobyl, we don't want nuclear anymore. Us, Italian, for instance, we don't have any plants of nuclear in Italy, but we have France that is like the major producer of nuclear, like right below, right beneath us. So people are perceiving nuclear as very, very bad because it's unsafe, but it's if we have to transition by 2050 to clean electricity, the only technology proven that we can use now to fast transition is nuclear. There is no other technology. Solar and wind are amazing, but during the night, there is no power. And again, energy storage is not there yet. So nuclear is, for me, is the answer. There are also several technologies in the nuclear fission, both fission and fusion that companies are developing in order to reduce the risk of nuclear, but also to reduce the waste of the nuclear waste, because also nuclear waste are not very nice for the environment. At least nuclear, when producing electricity, is not emitting CO2. And right now, probably the main target for us is taking this CO2 out of the atmosphere. But I totally agree with you, nuclear is the future.
Maybe someone else has more questions about the platform, maybe the structure, the data gathering, stuff like that.
It's fine. It's fine. I don't know. Probably I was a bit too fast in my explanation, and I don't know, maybe a bit too technical, but it's fine. I really enjoyed this. Let me tell you this. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you this, Alina, but actually, we are not now. By the end of the year, we are looking for some very cool interns to join our team in the web development department. So if you guys are interested in climate, join our team, please do send me your CV. I can tell you this, Alina, I can see your talents. Can I do that?
Yeah, I think you can also drop me the slides after that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. And the idea is that if you guys are interested in working with us, please do send me an email. This is my email, andrea@utopgreen.com. Thank you very much for your time. And again, Alina, thank you very much for inviting me. It was very, very fun for me.
Thank you. It was really nice to have you there.
Thanks. Okay, guys, I have to go because I have this call, and it is a pleasure. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you, Andrea.
Bye.